Okay, Year 11. Let's see if we can do this one in 10 minutes. This is our third of 9 little presentations on the business, the economy and the competitive environment that Aran Furniture sees itself in. Okay, let's see if we can do it as quick as the last one. So, as you can see from there, there is a trade cycle, and that cycle could be drawn for you to label. So output is a number of items made on the left hand side on the vertical axis, and time on the bottom axis. Now we know between each boom or each slump there could be a minimum of about 7 years on average. We haven't had one since 7 years since the last recession, but sometimes it means that it could be worse when it comes around the next time. So we can see there we've gone from a boom to a slump to a recession, and then you can see as it goes up the other side we have a little recovery before we go to a boom. So every boom follows by a bust, as it were, or a slump, and that little trade cycle is traditionally how it looks. So economies generally go through that similar cycle of growth and recession, and that cycle is known as the trade cycle below. So don't be surprised if they put that into the exam for you and you have to label that. So we'll do one more time: slump, recession, recovery, boom. The economic situation for Aran Furniture, you need to say where that is, where Aran Furniture is currently in the economic cycle, and what does that mean for Aran Furniture. Well, if you've read your case study, and I'm sure you've read it several times over half term, the case study says that the employment and real incomes are expected to continue to grow. So the economy is in a growth period. So going back to that slide, I guess you can quite see there that we're in this growth period here, going up the right hand side of the circle. It also says that the Bank of England is concerned about rates of growth currently because growth is slow. So although we're in a growth period, it's a slow growth period, and as a result of that, the Bank of England has kept the interest rates low to encourage growth, but as soon as it sees more green shoots, it will increase that interest rate, I'm sure. So how's that going to impact on Aran Furniture? Well, as you know, when growth is slow, this might have a direct impact on sales, because furniture is not an essential product. People might not rush out and buy it if they're worried about their income, and for the last I would say 7-8 years I haven't bought any furniture. I've definitely battened down the hatches. I retrained to be a teacher, but having moved to Surrey and bought our new house, my wife's now relocated and working here. I'm working here, and when you buy a new house, you probably often buy new furniture, and as you can see in there, no you can't because it's dark. Lots of nice furniture just arrived the other day to go in our new house, but people only do that when they are comfortable that their job is secure, I guess, and that they've got money coming in, and they're not worried about the loss of that job. So it's a good time, a growth time for people buying furniture. But Aran Furniture also needs to worry that it has loans, lots of loans, more loans than it's ever had before, and if interest rates rise, that's going to have a massive impact, negative impact on Aran Furniture's cash flow, because the cost of servicing that debt is going to go up. So if the cost of servicing that debt goes up, the profit on that business is going to go down. So an exam question they could ask you, probably 2-mark question, is what does the word competitive market mean, and also what is a monopolistic market. So two 2-mark questions there that could easily come up on Friday. So first of all, let's have a look at a competitive market. Well, you probably do know by now that competitive markets have many firms competing in them, selling the same products, and most markets have more than one competitor. Most villages have more than one pub. Most towns have more than one supermarket. So we do live in a competitive market economy. Lots of firms selling the same things, lots of phone shops selling phones, lots of food shops selling food, lots of clothes shops selling clothes. So every market in the modern Western world is quite competitive. So many products that are different, also different smartphones, different other types of phones that people sell. So in a competitive market, firms are competing for business, and they do that by advertising, branding their products, building value into the brand, so people want to be seen with that brand, by pricing their product effectively to sell, and by putting that business in a location where there's lots of Mr. Passerbys. Whereas monopolies are completely opposite. Monopolies have one or very few suppliers. They sell one main product. As a result of being only one, there's no competition. They generally sell products at a higher price than in a competitive market. And there may be many barriers for new firms entering that market for whatever reason. If it's a drugs company, they'll probably have patents on their drugs, so other people can't move in for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, depending on the drug. And they've got high startup costs. So there could be many reasons why it's not easy to enter a market that's a monopoly, and that could be because of the cost of setting up and competing with the other business that's in it. So if you were asked on Friday to think about Aran Furniture Limited and the market it sells in, is it competitive or monopolistic? Have a little think about that. Well, I would say you got that right. I'm guessing Aran Furniture is trading in a competitive market. Competition is increasing. More and more people are going into making furniture, especially outside the UK. Lots of people from the Far East, Sweden, as you know, Norwegian firms set up shop in the UK. IKEA are slowly growing more and more outlets. So Aran Furniture's got its back against the wall to some extent, with UK-based companies, but also companies from Europe and the Far East. So to compete with all those companies, you've got to be good, well priced, and have a brand that stands for something in terms of quality. Factors that increase competition, well, new firms entering the market through globalization will impact on competition. More products and different features will encourage people to buy from other people. Reducing prices may lead to price wars. Supermarkets have been doing that for many years now, especially when Aldi and Lidl entered the marketplace, but it's not a great way to compete by slashing prices. Advertising campaigns to raise brand awareness could be where you decide to go. Privatisation of government-owned industries or forced breakups of large businesses and the competition laws could actually have an impact on competition. So lots of factors there. If you get asked a 6-mark question or more 9-mark question on that topic, competition is huge. And factors that reduce competition, well, obviously if businesses merge or take over other businesses, that might be one company out of the market, but you know, it's got to be a big company that buys a company like Apple, but because Apple's probably worth about $750 billion, but there are big companies that probably would like to take over Apple if Apple shareholders wanted to sell their shares to the competition. But a brand like Apple's very strong, and that very strong brand, Apple are very good at giving people products that people want and people are loyal to and stick with. So Apple branding is massive for them, and that image, the quality and the product that people have, I would imagine they stick with that brand. This is my iPhone 3. I had an iPhone 4S. I've had an iPhone 3S, 3S, 4, 4S. I know I've got another Apple phone. So this is my 5th phone from Apple. Over the time I've been an Apple customer, and I've got no reason to move from Apple. So the brand is very important and what it stands for. Patents and copyrights on products could reduce competition, because if people enter the market with a product, other people can't get into that market with that product without nicking the ideas. Although the Chinese are very good at that, other countries tend to respect those laws a bit better. Collusion between businesses to fix prices, which is actually illegal, could prevent people from getting into the market and competing. Where do we go from here? So that is 2 of 9 videos on the topic for Friday.